So my dear students, I welcome you all in the second lecture of this video tutorial session. So in the last lecture we were discussed about the basic ideas of signals and systems. So in this lecture we will be discussing about the different kinds of signals, that is types of signals. So first kind of signal is continuous time and discrete time signal. We'll discuss more elaborately about each and every type of these signals. Let us see what are the different types of signals we are going to discuss. Second is even and odd signal. Third is periodic and non-periodic signal. Fourth is deterministic and random signals. Fifth is energy and power signals. Now, all those signals are one-dimensional signals, that is a single valued function of time. So either its amplitude is varying or if some AC signals have been considered, then its phase may be varying. So it is one-dimensional signal, that is single valued signal. So single valued signal means that every instant of time there is unique value of function. There is an unique value of the function. So if we are going to represent in if we going to represent in mathematical form, so at every instant of time the only one value of each function is varying. So this value may be a real number, that is a real valued signal, or maybe a complex number, that is a complex valued signal. So in both cases independent variable is time. With respect to time we are going to see that how this function is varied with respect to some other value. That is, so for this case we can say independent variable is time, which is a real value. So first kind is continuous time and discrete time signals. So from the name itself you can able to take some ideas, or you have been getting some ideas that continuous time, the signal exists for all time period, that is a signal xt. Let us consider a signal is represented by a mathematical function, that is xt, is said to be continuous time signal if it defined for all the time t. On the contrary, the discrete time signal is defined only at discrete instant of time. So if we go with this diagram, you will find this signal is exists from this location continuously up to this location. So it is existing for all time period t for the in whole of the time domain. But for this signal represented by xn, its amplitudes are been existing at particular time instant only. Let us consider for this time instant like this, either in the both side of the n axis. So this is a example of discrete time signal, that is its amplitude values exist for particular time period only, for particular time instant only, that is known as discrete time signal. So a discrete time signal is derived from a continuous time signal by sampling it at uniform rate. That is, sampling means we have been discretizing. Sampling after all leads to a discretization of a continuous time signal. Sampling means we supposed to take out some samples for a particular time instant only. Let us consider if this continuous time signal is existing from t is equals to, let us say it is t is equals to minus 5 seconds to t is equals to 5 seconds. So when we are discretizing this xt in terms of xn, so we have been dealing with the amplitude level of this xt. Let us consider for t is equals to minus 5, t is equals to minus 4, t is equals to minus 3, t is equals to minus 2, t is equals to minus 1, t is equals to 0, something like that. So between t is equals to minus 5 to t is equals to minus 4, we are not at all been considering what is the amplitude level it is been maintaining. So we have been only considering that t is equals to minus 5 and t is equals to minus 4. So considering only those particular amplitude level is known as a kind of sampling. So with the help of sampling we can able to convert a continuous time signal in discrete time signal. So let us consider, let Ts be the sampling period, that is every after Ts we are going to consider the amplitude in the xt signal. So let consider Ts be the sampling period and n be the integer that may assume positive and negative values. N let us consider the numbers of samples we are going to consider. Let us consider for this case it may be in the negative time axis as well as in the positive time axis. So that's why we have been considering n be integer that may assume positive and negative values. Then sampling a continuous time signal xt at t is equals to nts at different time instant and is defined by this n yields a sample with the values of x and ts. So every nts we're going to take the amplitude level from this xt, that is x and ts, that is xn. This xn is equals to x and ts, that is at particular time instant only we're going to consider the amplitude level of that xt that will convert this xt into xn, that is a discrete time signal. Here n is equals to 0, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, something like that in the both side of the t axis, that is consequently as a result when we are considering those amplitude levels only, a discrete time signal is represented by a sequence of numbers, that is let us consider up to plus minus 2. So that will become x of minus 2, x of minus 1, x of 0, x of 1, x of 2, something like that. So which can take a continuum of values. So for x of minus t we are having some value, x of minus 1 we are having some value, x of 0 we are having some value, x of 1, x of 2, like this we are having some value. So it is a continuum of values. So such a sequence of numbers is referred to as time series, written as xn is equals to xn, where n is equals to 0, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, dot like this, or simply we can write as an xn. So whenever an xt signal is converted into discrete time signal, it is written as xn, where n represents the integer values or the locations of the amplitude levels. Next, even an odd signal. So a signal xt is said to be an even signal if x of minus t is x of t for all t, and on the other side a signal xt is said to be an odd signal if x of minus t is minus of xt for all t. So let us consider you are taking a square shape of page, a blank page you have been considered which is square in shape. Now if you have been considering exact midpoint of that square shape of page and you have been folding into two pieces, so you can able to find that two pieces which have been formed from this square shape of page are identical in shape. Just try to understand. This x of t, which is a signal in time domain, if we have been replacing this t with minus t, let us consider this is the middle. If this side we have been considering xt, now if we have been replacing this t with minus t, means we have been considering this negative of minus t, then if these two signals are identical to each other, then we can consider yes, it is an even signal. That is, if that square shape of page is been results into two pieces of paper which are identical in shape, then we can say yes, xt is an even signal. Means xt in the positive time axis as well as in the negative time axis, if these two are same, then we can say yes, it is an even signal. Now on the other side, if xt whenever it is been replaced by minus of t, if it results into negative of xt, whatever the xt in the positive time axis, if it is negative in the minus t axis, then negative of xt in the minus t axis, then it is known as odd signal. So even signals are symmetrical about the vertical axis or time origin. That is what I said, if this is the middle of that axis, so this side whatever the signal exists and this side whatever the signal exists, these two are same. But for the odd signal it is antisymmetric about the origin. So this side signal is not at all same as this side signal. Let xt be represented, we are going to find some other parameters from this even and odd signal. So xt be expressed as a sum of two components, that is even of xt and odd of xt. So let us consider that is xt, thus a signal, a certain signal is the summation of even part as well as odd part. Let us consider for the time being. So where x of et is the even, x of ot is the odd part, that is x even of minus t will result into x of et and x odd of minus t will result into minus of x of odd t. So this is the property of the even and odd signal. So what we'll do on this equation, that we're going to replace this t with minus of t. So this will result into x of minus t is equals to x even of minus t plus x odd of minus t. So x of even t will become x even of minus t will result into x of t, but x of odd minus t will result into minus of x of odd t. So solving for x of even t and x of odd t by using these two equations, that is xt and x of minus t. So if we going to solve for x of even t and x of odd t, that will result into x even t is equals to half of summation of xt and x of minus t. So it is the average of x of t plus x of minus t, x of even t, and x of odd t is the difference of xt and x of minus t and its half. So whenever any signal is represented in terms of even and odd signal, represented by even and odd signal, so even part of that signal will be the xt original signal and its x of minus t. When t is being replaced with minus t, then summation of xt and x of minus t and its half, that is the even part of that xt, and odd part is the xt minus of x of minus t and its half part, that is the odd part of that xt. So let us consider an example that xt, here it is been represented by this sinusoidal function sin of pi t by capital T, where t is this time period small t is been bounded from minus t to t, and it is 0 otherwise, means other than this period it is 0, this function or this signal value is 0. So is the signal xt an even or odd function of time? We need to find out. So what we going to do, replacing t with minus t, that is what we supposed to do whenever someone asks to find out either it is an even signal or odd signal. So simply replace t with minus t. So if we replace t with minus t, so this sign of minus t will be something like that. So sine of minus theta, as we know, it will produces minus sine theta. So this minus sine of pi t by t will result into minus of xt. So for all t, so we can say this xt given in the problem, it is an odd signal because it results into x of minus t results into minus of xt. Second example, let us consider this kind of signal xt is equals to e to the power minus 2t cos t. So replacing t with minus t in this expression, we can able to find something like that, that is x of minus t will be result into x of 2t into cos t. So we're going to find what is the even part and odd part in this signal. So xt is given, we're going to find out what is the even part in this signal, what is the odd part in this signal. So x of even t will be summation of xt plus x of minus t and its half, that is something like that, cos hyperbolic of 2t cos t, and odd part is half of x of t minus of x of minus t, these two. So that will result into minus of sine hyperbolic 2t and cos t. So sine cos hyperbolic 2t and sine hyperbolic 2t respectively denote the hyperbolic cosine and sine of time t. Okay. Next is complex valued signal. So a complex valued signal symmetry is going to define in terms of real and odd values only. So let us consider the conjugate symmetry of a complex valued signal xt is something like that, that is x of minus t is x of conjugate t, that is a complex valued signal xt is said to be conjugate symmetry. We know that the conjugate property of complex valued function. So a complex valued signal xt is said to be conjugate symmetry of x of conjugate symmetry if x of minus t is same as conjugate of xt. So let us consider that xt is the summation of xt is a complex signal, that is at plus j of bt, where at is a real part, bt is the imaginary part of xt. Complex conjugate of xt will be at minus of j of bt, that is the complex conjugate of this xt. Now substituting xt and x of minus t in these equations, we're going to find out, because we're going to replace this t with minus t. So a of minus t plus j of b of minus t is equals to at minus of j of bt. So equating the real and imaginary part, if we're going to equate the real and imaginary part of these equations, we're going to find that a of minus t is equals to at and b of minus t is equals to minus of bt. By equating, this is the real part, this is the imaginary part. So it follows that a complex value signal xt is conjugate symmetry. A complex value signal xt is conjugate symmetry if its real part is even. If its real part is even, because a of minus t should be at and its imaginary part is odd, that is b of minus t is equals to minus of bt. Then only we can say a complex valued function is conjugate symmetry if its real part is even and its odd part is, if its imaginary part is odd. Third one is periodic signal and non-periodic signal. A periodic signal xt is a function of time that satisfies the condition that x of small t, function of time, should be x of t plus t for all time t, where t is the positive constant. On the other side, any signal xt for which no value of t satisfies the condition. For no value, this condition is not at all being satisfied, that is called non-periodic signal. So let us consider this signal. Here we can able to find out different cycles of this signal. So if we consider the first period of this signal, it is up to 0.2. So every after 0.2 it is been repeating the same cycle. After 0.2 it is repeating the same cycle. So we can say it is a periodic signal of period 0.2 seconds, but it is a single rectangular pulse of amplitude a and duration t1 only. That is, after t1 it is not at all been repeating. That is why we are been recognizing it as non-periodic signal. So clearly, if the condition is satisfied for t is equals to t naught, let us consider that this condition is satisfied for t is equals to t naught, then it is also satisfied for t is equals to 2 t naught, 3 t naught, 4 t naught, something like that. So if it has been satisfied for t naught, some time period t naught, so it is also been satisfied for double of that, triple of that, and 4 times of that time period. So the smallest value of t, that is t naught for this case, it is known as the fundamental period of xt. This up to 0.2 it is known as the fundamental period of t. That is the smallest value of t for which this signal is repeating, that is known as fundamental time period. So we can say it is also been repeating for 0.4 seconds, because we can say yes, these two pulses is been repeating after every 0.4 seconds. So this is not the fundamental time period. 0.2 seconds, because it is the smallest time period after which the signal is repeating. So 0.2 second, it is known as the fundamental period of this xt. So accordingly, the fundamental period t defines the duration of one complete cycle xt. So this fundamental period, it defines the first cycle, period of first cycle. So fundamental period t defines the duration of one complete cycle xt. The reciprocal of the fundamental period t is called the fundamental frequency of the periodic signal, that of xt, that is f is equals to 1 by t. We all know that reciprocal of the time period is the frequency. So angular frequency, we know that omega is equals to twice pi f or twice pi by t. So this is a triangular wave. What is the fundamental frequency of this wave? So from the figure itself we can able to identify that after 0.2 second it is been repeating, after every 0.2 second it is been repeating. So the time period is 0.2, it is also the fundamental time period. So we can able to find out what is the fundamental frequency, that is 1 by 0.2, that is 5 Hz, and angular frequency also we can able to find out twice pi f, that is 10 pi radian per seconds. Fourth one is discrete time period. Sorry, before that, periodic and non-periodic, till now we have been seen in terms of continuous time signal. Now we are going to find out in terms of discrete time, periodic and non-periodic signal, that is periodicity and non-periodicity with respect to discrete time signals. So discrete time signal xn is said to be periodic if xn is equals to x of n plus capital N for integer n, that is Let us consider we have been discretized our continuous time signal xt into a number series, that is xn. So if this capital N, it is the periodicity of that signal. So if we consider for every n, if it has been repeating, every n if it has been repeating, then we can say yes, it is a periodic signal. So the smallest value of n, in the same way, the smallest value of n for which the above signal satisfies this condition is known as the fundamental period of that discrete time signal xn. The fundamental angular frequency, it is been represented by capital omega, it is twice pi by capital N. Twice pi by capital N, it is the fundamental angular frequency of that discrete time periodic signal. So it is the example of a discrete time periodic signal. We can consider that every after 4 samples, these 4 samples in the positive side and these 4 samples in the negative side, it has been repeating, so we can say it has been discrete time periodic signal. Now this is the non-periodic discrete time signal because it is not at all been repeating after these 3 samples, because these 3 samples it is having 0 value, these 3 samples it is having minus 1 values, these 3 samples it is 0 value. So it is not at all been repeating. It is a non-periodic discrete time signals. Let us consider some example. So for each of the following signals, determine whether it is a periodic or non-periodic. So you just try these problems. So these are the answer of this problem. So try it. If any problems you have been found, you just discuss with me. I will solve for you, or I will solve. Okay. So just do these problems. Fourth one is the deterministic and random signals. So from the name you can able to guess something about this deterministic nature and random nature. Means deterministic means some exact value or some certainty exists about that signal, then that is what going to the value of that signal at some certain time. And random signals means it is we can't guess that what should be the value after some time period. So it is a signal, deterministic signal, it is a signal about which there is no uncertainty, there is no guess. We can exactly say what supposed to be the value after 5 seconds. Let us consider. So there is no uncertainty with respect to its value at any time. But for a random signals, it is a signal about which there is full uncertainty exists. That is, there is uncertainty before it occurs. We can't guess what's supposed to be the value at that or after some time period. It may be modeled as completely specified function of time, but for the random signal it may be modeled as belonging to an ensemble, that is a group belonging to an ensemble of signals, with each signal in the ensemble has a certain probability of occurrence. There is some probable condition, some probability exists with that ensembles in the signal. The ensembles of this signal is called random process. Every ensembles or a group where each signal is having certain probability of occurrence, it known as random process. So example, we can say a sine wave. For random signals we can say electrical noise generated in an amplifier of a radio or TV. So earlier days whenever we have been starting a radio, we can able to find out or we can able to hear some noise signal in that radio, that is a random signal. Now fifth one is the energy signal and power signal. So in an electrical system, let us consider a signal may be represented in terms of voltage or current. So whenever this voltage is been there in the across a resistor, some voltage is been existing across a resistor or some current is been flowing through that resistor, so we can find out the instantaneous power been dissipated in that resistor. So that power may be V square by R or I square R. So every time this power P is a square function of either voltage or either current. This power P is the square function of voltage for this case, and it is the square function of current for this case. So we can say this power P is always a square of some amplitude of a signal. So defining power in terms of 1 ohm resistor, let us consider this resistor is 1 ohm. Regardless whether a signal xt represents a voltage or a current. Whether a signal is xt, either it is a voltage or current, the expression of instantaneous power is x square t. Just try to understand. During defining this power for a 1 ohm resistor, if we consider this resistor is of 1 ohm, so either this signal xt represents, the signal xt represents voltage or current, we can say the instantaneous power, that is the power at any instant of time, it is x square t. So the total energy of continuous time signal xt is the integration limit t tends to infinite integration minus t by 2 to t by 2 x square t dt. So what we're going to find out that power at every instant of time up to how much this signal exists. So integrating means we are taking the summation of the power at every instant of time. We're going to take the summation of the power at every instant of time, that is up to how much this signal exists. Let us consider this signal is exists for an infinite time, so at every time period how much power exists. So that will give you the idea about the total energy of that continuous time signal. So if we replace t with minus of t with infinity, so this is the expression. So if we take the time average of that energy signal, if we take the time average of that, we're going to find out the power content of that signal, that is taking the limit t tends to infinite and taking the average of that signal, average of that energy, that is 1 by t integration minus t by 2 to t by 2, it is x square t dt. Then we're going to find out the power content of that signal. So from the above equation, the time average power of a periodic signal xt over a fundamental period t, if t we know that, if we this t value we know as the fundamental t period, that is we are going to find out the power for a fundamental time period only. So we can take the limit, we can take out the limit, so 1 by t integration minus t by 2 to t by 2 x square t dt, that is the fundamental period power, means power within that fundamental period of that periodic signal xt. So the square root of the power is called the root mean square. So for a discrete time signal, same way the integration will be replaced by the summation symbol. So the samples we are going to take between minus infinite to infinite. So the samples will exist from minus infinite to infinite x square n, means our signal existing, the discretized signal exists from minus infinite to infinite, and we're going to take out the power at every samples, for every sample, that will give you the total energy. The same way the average power will be the average of that energy, within n tends to infinite. So if we're going to take the average of this energy, we're going to find out the average power. So we are having, let us consider n is equals to minus n to n, so we are supposed to have total twice n plus 1 numbers of samples including the origin value. So if we're taking the average of that, we're going to find out the power for this signal xn. So average power in a periodic signal xn within the fundamental period n, so we're going to find out something like that, 1 by n is equals to 0 to n minus 1 x square n. So energy signal is referred to as energy signal. A signal is referred to as energy signal if and only if the total energy of that signal satisfies the condition. That is, for an energy signal, energy should be finite. That is from 0 to infinity. Between 0 to infinity, not from 0 to infinity, between 0 to infinity. So an energy signal is finite if energy should be finite for an energy signal, and for a power signal the power should be finite, that is between 0 to infinity. The energy and power classification of signals are mutually exclusive. Energy and power classification. Energy signal has 0 time average power. For an energy signal, the power is 0, average time 0 time average is 0 time average power, and energy signal has 0 time average power, whereas a power signal has infinite energy. So let us take this conclusion something like this from this expression. So this is the energy, this is the energy. So if our energy signal, if xt is an energy signal, so obviously this value should be finite, obviously this value should be finite. So this finite value here is been multiplied with 1 by t. So our t tends to infinite. So a finite value is divided with infinite results into 0 power. This is the finite value, this energy xt is energy signal. So this value, this integration value x square t dt will be finite value. So this finite value has been divided with an infinite value that will result into 0, power 0. Now let us consider our signal is the power signal, our signal is power signal. So our p value is some finite value. So whenever this p value is some finite value, so obviously this integration minus t by 2 to t by 2 x square dt represents the energy of the signal. So if this p is finite, so whenever it is been multiplied with this t where t is infinite, so our energy results into infinite. So that is the conclusion, that an energy signal should have 0 average power and a power signal should have infinite energy. Okay, so energy signal has 0 time average power, whereas a power signal has infinite energy. Periodic and random signals are always power signals. A periodic signal, let us consider a sinusoidal signal which is periodic, it is always a power signal, whereas a deterministic and non-periodic signals, non-periodic signals and deterministic signals always are energy signals. So this is the example, let us consider some example. So try to find it. So what you going to do, take the x square of t, first of all take the integration within these limits, try to find out if once you got the energy signal, if x square t integration minus t by 2 to t by 2 x square t dt, if it results into finite, if it results into some finite value, so obviously power going to infinite, so no need to find out for the power. Now if energy is coming as infinite, if energy value is coming as infinite, so obviously it's supposed to be some power signal, so you need to find out the power level for that signal. So this is the end for this lecture. In the next lecture we're going to see some basic operations on signals. So up to this we have been concluding for this lecture. Thank you all.